A while ago, I made a video talking about my top 100 favorite Pokemon, which you should probably check out. Hey, wait, where are you going? I mean, check it out after this video. Jeez. Patience. Anyway, I decided to do my top 10 least favorite Pokemon. Now, believe it or not, this was actually harder than picking out my top 100 favorite Pokemon. Mainly because I don't really hate that many Pokemon. The worst I can say about most Pokemon is that I'm indifferent to them. Like, yeah, I don't like them, but they're not hurting anybody. I can easily ignore them. So I kind of had to really think about what Pokemon deserves to be on this list. And it's more like these Pokemon were more disappointing than anything. I mean, some of them I do think are bad, but for the most part, a lot of them were just kind of disappointing. Because it's one thing for me to just be kind of indifferent to something, but if something had a ton of potential and it just really missed the mark, it makes you really not like the Pokemon very much. Like, because we may not get another chance at this again. Who knows? But anyway, here are my top 10 least favorite Pokemon. Oh, and by the way, this is just my opinion, not your opinion, so don't expect your opinion to be shouted back at you. It's not my job to do that. It's my opinion, so if you like any of these Pokemon, that's great. It's nice to know that these Pokemon were not made in vain, but it's just my opinion, so let's get to it. Number 10, Flamigo. So this is just lazy. I mean, I've wanted a Flamingo Pokemon for a very, very long time, because you could do so much with it. And this is the best they could give us? It's just a Flamingo. Like, literally, it's just a Flamingo. Like, I'd expect this from Gen 1, because that's the generation that gave us Seal and Krabby. But this was Gen 9. Stuff like Seal and Krabby and Flamigo should have been scrapped way back in Gen 1. You know, it's unacceptable that they would give us a Pokemon like this far into the franchise. I mean, seriously, if you're a designer and you look at a Flamingo and then you look at all the crazy concepts you can do with Pokemon and this is the best you can come up with, you should be fired. Because clearly you are terrible at your job. It's a shame, too, because Flamigo actually is not a bad Pokemon. Like, you can get it extremely early, and it's a monster in the beginning of the game. Sure, it falls off later, but in the beginning, it's very strong. It's a flying and fighting type, and that's a great combination type to have in the beginning of the game, because you know what's very common in the very beginning of the game? Normal, bug, and grass types. Guess what types beat those? And it's also good against rock types, too, which there's a lot of those, too. So it's a very great early game Pokemon, but its design is just so bland. And it doesn't even have an evolution or anything. Seriously, in the future, this thing needs an evolution, a mega evolution, a regional variant, or something, anything, because this is just disappointing. Number 9, Alolan Dugtrio. There is just so many things wrong here. First of all, why does Dugtrio get an Alolan form? I know a lot of the Alolan forms, especially the first, series of them, you could call it, are just Kanto Pokemon, but there could have been a lot better ones than Dugtrio. I mean, all you did was give it hair, you know, and all of a sudden now that's a Steel type. Like, I know what it's going for. It's supposed to be the volcanic hair and everything like that, but that doesn't translate to good design. Like, just putting hair on something doesn't give it a different type or make it any better. Like, they did the same thing with Mega Ampharos. Like, you give it hair and now it's a dragon type. Like, what? Okay, I don't know. What is your obsession with hair, Pokemon? Anyway, yeah. This thing is just stupid. I don't think I need to tell you that. Everyone knows that. And to add insult to injury, this is even worse than its original form. Like, if you're going to make a regional form, at least make it better than the original or something like that. Not sure why Dugtrio needed something like this. You know, it was already a very bland design, and this did not help it at all. So yeah, it's just a stupid regional variant, and it should not exist. Number 8, Wobbuffet. There's a lot of reasons to hate this thing. For one, the anime. I don't know why this thing stuck around for the entire anime once it was introduced. It's not like it was that funny to begin with. Like, all it did was pop out every now and then. Actually, not even now and then. It popped out multiple times per episode. And much like Team Rocket, would just never go away. And it just made me not want to watch the anime anymore. And then in-game, it's incredibly annoying to run into because it has Shadow Tag, which means you can't run from it, which means you're basically playing Russian roulette with it, so it will, because all it can do is counter, and Mirror Coat, you know, basically all it can do is counter your moves, basically. Or maybe it'll just take you out with Destiny Bond, who knows. I mean, yeah, it can be easy to play around with if you know it's coming, and since there are wild encounters basically aren't a thing anymore, you can see it coming, but back in the day when you couldn't see it coming, or you would face it randomly, it was extremely annoying to deal with. And of course, it's not fun to use because all you can do is counter. So not only is it annoying to fight against, it's not even fun to use. Like I said, it's basically just a punching bag. And it just is a really annoying Pokemon. That's the thing. If I could describe this Pokemon in one word, it's annoying in many different ways. So yeah, I don't like it. Number 7, Lickitung. So, like I said, I was having trouble picking entries for this list. And Lickitung seems like a weird one because I don't really hate Lickitung at all. It's just that in very specific circumstances, it was insanely annoying. Like, I played a lot of Pokemon Stadium, like 1 and 2 and stuff like that, and this was always an extremely annoying Pokemon to fight against. It could never take you out, but it's almost like the people who made those games made sure it had the most obnoxious moveset ever, with moves like Supersonic, Thunder Wave, Wrap, which was broken in Gen 1, and like I said, it would never kill you, but it would make it very hard to take down, because it was usually pretty bulky. And since fighting moves were non-existent, basically, in Gen 1, it was hard to take down quickly. Not hard to take down, but you could rarely do it in one hit. So it would get something off, whether it be a Thunder Wave, usually, and then it would try to wrap you to death, and then maybe Supersonic, if it wanted to, maybe it would Body Slam and maybe paralyze you that way. Like I said, it would never take you out, but it was really annoying to deal with. And another annoying thing is that it's not a good Pokemon. Like, it sucks. It's not very good. And it's rare. Like, in a lot of games, it's hard to get. And even if you did, you wouldn't want to use it because it's not good. So it just, I don't know. Its design isn't bad. I know a lot of people hate it, and rightfully so. But considering it's a Gen 1 Pokemon, I can't hate it that much because it's one of the more unique designs of Gen 1. But it's just not that good. So I've never really used it. And it was just so annoying to fight in the Stadium games, it just made me not like it very much at all. Number 6. This one's going to be a little weird because it's pre-Fairy Clefable. Once Clefable got the Fairy type, I liked it a lot more because Fairy is one of my favorite types. So I ended up using it a bit more. But before that, I didn't like it as much, and the reason was mostly the same as Lickitung, in that it was insanely annoying to fight against in the Stadium games because they decided to give it, again, very obnoxious movesets. Once again, the classic Thunder Wave being one of them, but it could also use Sing. And if you know Gen 1, Sleep was incredibly broken. So that was annoying. Also, again, being a normal type and being decently bulky, there was no way to take it down easily because there was no fighting moves. So it was, again, very annoying to fight against. But unlike Lickitung, it could take you out. Because not only could it put you to sleep and just pound away, it could learn ice moves like Ice Beam, and I believe it could learn Blizzard, which could freeze you, which is basically a free KO in Gen 1. And so it wasn't passive, it could actually hurt you, unlike Lickitung. So just as annoying to fight against as Lickitung, but even worse, because it could actually take you out. Once it got the Fairy typing, it's still very annoying to take down, especially with the, abilities it has and the new moves it has and everything like that. But it really wasn't. It's still it's Fairy type. Like I said, I still like it a lot more, And since it's a Fairy type, it has weaknesses to Steel and Poison, so a little bit easier than using Fighting, I guess. Although Fighting did get a lot better, so I guess it didn't really matter at that point. But yeah, I just didn't like Clefable at first. I like it a lot more now. That's why it only makes this list as a pre-Fairy. Just normal Clefable, I guess you could say. Number 5, the Clink line. So Clink, Clang, and Cling Clang, or whatever it is. So this gets on the list basically for the same reason as Flamigo, is that it's just a really bland and boring design, which would have been fine if it wasn't that it was in Gen 5, not Gen 1. So Gen 5 had this problem where it tried to be Gen 1, which I don't think it should try to be because Gen 1 had a lot of bland designs. And a lot of people complain about the designs, like, the Vanillite line, the Ice Cream Cone Pokemon, and Garbodor and stuff, which are still more better than, Muck, even though Muck got a pretty good Alolan form, so I guess that argument doesn't really work anymore. But, yeah, they're still better than most Gen 1 designs, but they still kind of suffer from Gen 1-itis. And Clink line is a perfect example of that. It's trying to be the Magnemite line, but Magnemite's a way better design. Despite it being like a magnet and not having a very creative evolution in Magneton, it's still better than this. And Clink is supposed to be also it's not electric Steel like Magnemite, it's just Steel. Even though it learns electric moves, it doesn't get stab on it, so that's kind of dumb. And like I said, it's just a really stupid design. just some gears put together. Like, again, even Magnemite line was way better. At least I got Magnezone eventually. So yeah, this is on here because it's just a very lazy design. And I have a lot of problem with some Gen 5 Pokemon just trying to be Gen 1. It's just a huge waste of potential and just kind of bland, boring, and uncreative. But, whatever. It's just... I have tried using the Kling line. It's not even that fun to use, to be honest. It's not that great. So yeah, just overall not a Pokemon I'm a huge fan of. Number 4, Shedinja. So this was a very poorly thought out gimmick Pokemon. I mean, seriously, look at all the games that Shedinja is in, and then look at all the gym leaders, Elite Four members, champions, and see how many Pokemon can't do anything to Shedinja. Like, this is just terrible game design 101. And it's a really annoying thing to fight against because it's kind of like in Yu-Gi-Oh! The card Mystic Mine. It's like, if you have the out, good. If you don't, you can't do anything. Because nothing can hit Shedinja except super effective moves and other small things like, poison, burn, weather, stuff like that, which I guess now only includes sand since hail's not a thing anymore. So yeah, if you have the out, great. If you don't, too bad. Which also means it can be very easy to use, very hard to use. It's like it's either going to do everything or nothing. It's an all or nothing Pokemon, and Game Freak is just really bad at making mechanics in general, especially balanced ones. So this was obviously just a gimmick that totally kind of blows up in their face a little bit, because like I said, it can completely break the game in a lot of scenarios. So yeah, you may not come up against it much, but when you do and you don't have the out, which I surprisingly did a lot of the times when I was playing Pokemon Stadium, which was it? What was it? Coliseum and Battle Revolution were the only ones where it was in. But the amount of times I went up against one where I didn't immediately have an out, meaning it was getting at least one free turn on me, which usually didn't mean much, but sometimes if I didn't have something that had the out, like maybe if I did have the out, but the Pokemon had fainted already, and then I was left with something that couldn't hurt it, yeah, it was incredibly annoying. So yeah, this was a really stupid decision, and it really should not exist. Number 3, Eternatus. Eternatus is just freaking stupid. It looks stupid, its backstory is stupid, its role in the story is stupid. You're stupid. Stop being stupid. Yeah, I just hate this thing. No, I'm not going to go more into detail about its design and its backstory and all that stuff. I don't want to, because it's stupid. Moving on. Number 2, the Galar fossils. So, I think it's obvious why I don't like these things. Like, yes, I get the joke. Paleontologists sometimes mix up bones and they put them on the wrong dinosaur. But, A, that's not funny. And number 2, just because that's an explanation doesn't mean it's a good explanation. These things are abomination unto RCSR Lord, and they're clearly always in pain. And what's also annoying is that these were the first fossil Pokemon to not be Rock type, which would have been amazing, because Rock is a terrible typing, and always kind of held the fossil Pokemon back. But they finally get rid of the Rock type, and this is what we get, these abominations. Again, it's not funny, it just seems needlessly cruel, and the designs are just really bad. Like, I can understand real-life paleontologists mixing up dinosaur bones and stuff, but how do you mess this up and not realize what you've done automatically? Yeah, I don't like these things. They're terrible. And finally, number 1, the Ultra Beasts. Yeah, I really hate these things. I didn't want the entire list to be just the Ultra Beast or the Galar fossils, so I just grouped them all into one entry. But yeah, these things, they don't even look like Pokemon. Like, they look like they come from a completely different game entirely. And I know what people are going to say, well, of course, they come from a different dimension. But again, I reframe you to what I said about the Galar fossils. Just because there's an explanation doesn't mean it's a good explanation. These things still look hideous. And I don't like using them, But luckily, they're like kind of legendaries. Maybe the point is that they're not really in the games very much. You can ignore them if you want, which is good. Yeah, I just don't like these things. Also, I feel like the whole different dimension thing was just a huge missed opportunity. Imagine this being like another version of like regional forms. Imagine getting like different dimension forms of other Pokemon that, like we do with regional variants. That could be good. But no, we just get these stupid things that don't look like they even belong in this franchise. Like, I don't know what these things would come from, but it certainly ain't Pokemon. But yeah, I don't like these things at all. And that's my top 10 least favorite Pokemon, or probably more than 10 if you group the Galar fossils and the Ultra Beasts and stuff. But anyway, what Pokemon do you guys hate? Let me know in the comment, and I'll see you next time.